What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives of the Round Table. My name's Marco, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Peña X Series Raptor. So this, the Peña X Series is Enrique Peña's production arm, and they're knives that he designs and Riyadh manufactures. So obviously Riyadh, one of the best OEM manufacturers of knives really in the world right now, and so they have outstanding quality. And this one is part of a series of knives that Peña makes with this kind of swayback handle. It kind of looks very traditional, but he's done modern blades on it. So he's done the Barlow that has a clip point. He has the Apache. I've reviewed in the past. I'll link it here towards the end of the video if you want to watch that, which is a sheep's foot blade. And this one, which is the Warmcliffe blade. So there's going to be a lot of similarities between this one and the Apache review. So if you've watched that one, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with I'll start with cutting performance, and then you can stop watching if you decide to do that. Then because the ergonomics, the action, a lot of that stuff is gonna be the same as the Apache review. So if you watch that one, then you can just get an idea of how this one cuts, because that's kind of the only difference between this one and that knife. But before we get too far along, let me give you a tour of the knife. So what you have here is this M390, okay, as you can see right here. It's an M390 Warmcliffe blade, but I like the styling quite a bit. So you've got obviously a straight edge here with a very aggressive pointy tip, but you've got this really large swedge that starts back here, and it's hollow ground. So let me see if I can make sure that you guys, there you go. That's what it looks like. So you've got a swedge up here. That's really nice. And then you've got a hollow ground blade. It's not large. These are smaller knives. Like I said, traditional. So as Nick Shabazz would say, uncontroversially under 3 inches long. And then this version has a black micarta on a bolster lock. You got a metal titanium pocket clip, and you do have a lock bar insert on this. So there you go. Again, like I said, Peña is one of the few makers that I've seen that he does a significant amount of custom work. You can find a lot of his custom knives. But he does a lot of these X series that are excellent quality. So let me show you a size comparison here. So here it is against the Paramilitary 2, and here it is against the Para 3. So what you see here, these are very compact knives, very traditional sized. And for some people, it might be like a gentleman's carry. It has a more aggressive blade, and it's a front flipper, so it does deploy as a front flipper, but the size kind of fits that category right there. And like I said in the past, I think maybe the best size comparison here is the mini bug out. So as you can see, very similar in length, although in thickness, the Raptor is considerably thicker. Although the blade is not so much thicker. Let me try and show you that. So there's your blade thicknesses. So it's a little bit thicker on the Peña, but not by much. So, like I said, I'm gonna start with cutting, and if you wanna cut afterwards, you can. So the cutting on this one, I think it's a little bit better than the Apache. So the Apache is is a sheep's foot, which is a very utilitarian blade. The sheep's foot, it works really well. So you got a slide belly on the sheep's foot, but I think it's flat ground. And what you get here is the straight edge and the hollow for draw cuts and for shallow cuts, opening packages, cutting cardboard that is flat on a surface, or cutting leather on a surface. This works extremely well, and especially if you're trying to cut cuts that have shapes, the tip and the flat edge really works for that. Now, because it's not a thick blade stock to start, and because it's hollow grind, it comes down to a really fine edge. I think it comes down to a thinner edge than the Apache. So I think the blade shape, I enjoy the Apache a little bit more aesthetically, but functionally I think this is probably a better performer. This one cuts a little bit better, just because of all the blade geometry advantages that this one has. And I want to touch on this. The grind lines on this are just phenomenal. I enjoy when they leave the grind lines. There's something about seeing how they ground the blade, and the uniformity of the lines that just appeals to me very much. Okay, so for those of you who saw the Apache, you guys can leave now. For those of you who have not seen that review, then stick around. So ergonomics on the knife. Okay, so it's a smaller knife, but I can still, with my large hands, I can still get a full 4-finger grip. Although it's a small knife, it's not tall, it's kind of narrow. It is a little bit wider, so it doesn't quite fill my hand, but it's adequate. I would say that the ergonomics are okay. You can feel the pocket clip a little bit. It's not big enough to where it gets to the hollow of my hand, because this one, it's so small that the clip almost it falls right here in the ball of my hand right there. So I can feel it in both a hammer grip and a saber grip. And I think this one wants to be held in a saber grip. So you got a little bit of jimping. It's very subtle. It's effective. I feel like you get a little bit of traction, but you almost can't feel the lines. And that's what jimping should be, right? It shouldn't hurt your hand. It should just help you get a better purchase on the knife. So the ergonomics for a smaller knife, for a skinnier knife, are decent. It's a neutral handle, so you get to hold it in a variety of different grips, and they all work fine. But again, I think it probably works better in medium to small hands, and I'll talk to. And when we talk action, that's where the size of the hand it really comes into play. So, speaking of action, so this is a front flipper, and I think you can do that from the top, but I struggle with that. I've seen people do it, I just can't. But it's a front flipper, and that works really well. Because it's a smaller knife, I kind of struggle to hold it. I feel like I don't have enough meat on the knife to hold it, but I can do it fairly reliably. I don't fail too often, so I think the detent is really nicely done for the front flipper. I think, again, I do think that Riyadh makes some of the best action out there. It's a very light blade, so you don't get any sort of drop action. It takes a lot of coaxing to get it to close. But I think it's more of all of it can be done in a one-hand operation, but I think that's the way it's meant to be closed, with you flicking it with your index finger. My biggest gripe in the action is the same gripe that I had on the Apache, and that is that the blade is thin, and there's not really this side, the show side, has not been cut out to access the lock bar. There's a tiny little bit of kind of a landing area right here, but it's so small, and my finger, I wear large gloves, but and maybe, like I said, maybe people with small hands or medium hands will have a better access to the lock bar. I feel like I have to push my thumb and get the meat of my finger in it to push the lock bar to disengage. It's not comfortable. I end up feeling like I'm pushing more down than over. So the space to push the lock bar, it makes it so that I don't enjoy the fidgeting of this knife. And if they would just do a little cutout here, just a little bit, a little bit of a finger groove on just one side, a lot of times that even improves ergonomics, and it would improve the access to the lock bar. I think that's something that should be done, because it's a little bit difficult to get in here to disengage the lock bar. So that's on the action. Now on the fit and finish side, as with I have a lot of Riyadh knives. I have probably 5 or 6 Peñas. I have Chavez. I have Beg Steelcraft. I have a lot of Riyadh made knives, and they all have excellent fit and finish. They, it's a Chinese manufacturing, but in reality they do such good work that it's, Nick Shabazz always says that quality is about, effort, not geography. And in reality, I think that Riyadh just makes excellent knives. The fit and finish, again, I think the detent is perfectly tuned. As you can tell, this is perfectly centered. The transition from the bolster to the micarta it's seamless. I mean, if you close your eyes and you just run your finger, it's very hard to detect that transition. You got a really nice flush back spacer back here. The pocket clip is really nicely milled. I mean, all of this is just really well done. I think, again, Riyadh makes really good knives. If you've never tried them, I would highly suggest that you take a look at some of their knives, because it's they make good work. We've talked about cutting, ergonomics. We've talked about fit and finish. I think airing of grievances. I think the only grievance I have is with the access of the lock bar here. Other than that, I think this series presents you with, you have a couple options. I think there's 3 micartas: tan, green, and black micarta. You can do, I think they make a titanium version of these. I think they've done carbon fiber as well. And then you have 3 different blade shapes. You can have the Warncliffe, you can have the sheep's foot, and you can have a clip point in the Barlow. So you have options if you want, if you're looking at something like this. And right now, they've done something that is really cool, where you can have I want to say it's the Apache with the Lee Williams kickstop. And what it does is it's a modification that they've done, but it's original from manufacturers. Okay, so no void warranties, nothing like that. But it's the addition of a flipper tab that only shows up when the knife is deployed. I mean, when the knife is closed, you have a flipper tab, and then when you deploy it, the flipper tab hides itself in the handle here. And so when it's open, you have the exact same experience, but when you have it closed, for those of you who don't like the front flippers, there's a version of the Apache that has the Lee Williams kickstop flipper tab mechanism. I would highly recommend. I haven't been able to get one of those, or I haven't had the time or the money to get one of those. But I would recommend, if you want to take a look at the Apache, take a look at maybe you want to get the kick-stopped version of the knife. It's not. I think it's just a couple of, it's probably 10 or 15 bucks more. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it clarifies a little bit. If you're looking at this series, I don't have a Barlow. If one of you has a Barlow that you want me to take a look at, let me know. But this one, this one is probably more utilitarian than the Apache, even if I like the blade shape of the Apache better. And then my Apache has damage steel, so that one's a little bit more bougie. But I try to not think about the performance of the knife in terms of just the blade steel, because I think what changes in this series is the blade geometry. Guys, if you enjoyed it, if you think I earned it, then like and subscribe. Don't get notified. Nobody likes to get emails, and you know where to find me. If you want to see my videos, I'll be here. And until I see you again, take care.